the army of Samaria and said, what are these feeble Jews doing with their... Will they fortify themselves? Will they offer sacrifices? Will they complete it in a day? Will they revive the stones from the heap of rubbish, stones that are burnt? The title of my sermon tonight is Built with Bricks of Affliction. Built with bricks of affliction. He said, will these Jews go and use the same bricks that are broken down? Are these Jews going to use the same bricks that have been burnt by fire? Who do they think they are, using the rubbish around them to build a wall to keep me out? That's good right there. Chapter 4, verse 3 says, now Tobiah the Amorite was beside him, and he said, whatever they build, if even a fox goes up on it, it will break down their wall. In other words, he says, you can't get very far. Even if you try to build it, a little fox will try to come up what do you know what the Bible says? It's the little foxes that spoil the vine. He said, even if a little fox come in, it's going to mess it all up. So he making fun of the thing because he was going to use the same material that have been burnt with fire. Chapter 4, verse 4 says, hear, O God, for we are despised. Turn the reproach on their own heads and give them as plunder to the land of captivity. Do not cover their iniquity, and do not let their sin be blotted out from before you, for they have provoked you to anger before the builders. So we built the wall. The entire wall was joined together up half its height, for the people had a mind to work. You got to make up your mind that you're tired of being sick and tired. You got to make up your mind that you don't want to be down and out anymore. You got to make up your mind that you don't like the position that you're in. You don't like the situation that you got to make up your mind that tonight is the last night that I'm going to walk around like this. Tonight is the last night that I'm going to feel like this. There's something about feelings that I don't like that makes me feel bad, and that make me feel good, and that make me feel happy, and that make me feel sad. You know what? God didn't serve you to serve him with your feelings. He said they had a mind to work. They made up their mind that we're going to do something special. Now it happened when Sanballat, Tobiah, the Arabs, the Amorites, and the Asherbites heard that the walls of Jerusalem were being restored and the gaps were beginning to be closed, that they became very angry. You know what these Tobiah and the Arabs and Amorites and Abishites, they might as well say the devils. The devil began to get mad that the walls and the gaps in the walls began to close. The devil began to get angry that you started to pick yourself up and dust yourself off. The devil began to get angry that you made up your mind that I don't want to be here anymore. The devil got angry that you began to want to close and fix the things that are wrong with you in your life. Ain't nobody know you better than you. You look in the mirror and look back and say, man, you got to fix some things, buddy. You got to change some things, my friend. You got to turn some things around, and you got to change it. You got to change the way you feel. Bishop said, you know what, don't call yourself ugly because you're calling God ugly. I didn't know that God was 5'4", bald and beautiful. Can you say amen? Amen. I saw the rappers up here, and I was listening to their rap, and I said, Lord, look at their wonderful hair. He had braids all down the back. I said, oh, Lord, I haven't had a braid since the 8th grade. It's like my hair gave up on me and just jumped off. I said, where you going? Yesterday we was in revival yesterday, and right before I preached, I pulled out my rag and I wiped my head, and there was a long hair. I said, could it be? Miracles. And then I remembered because of Misty and Melissa and Melissa, I got long hair all over me, and not one belongs to me. I thought the Lord had restored me. And all of them conspired together, verse 8, to come and to attack Jerusalem and create confusion. Nevertheless, we made our prayer to our God, and because of them, we set a watch against them day and night. You would never set a watch over your house if the enemy didn't come and attack you. Then Judah said, the strength of the laborers is falling, and there was so much rubbish that we are not able to build the wall. See, but here in a few verses ago, it said that the wall was half finished. How can you get discouraged when the wall is halfway finished? See, sometimes we go halfway with things and we don't finish. Sometimes we start building up and we start feeling good and we start praising God and we start getting excited because God has begun to do something, and then we get discouraged halfway through the vision. Halfway through the contacts, halfway through the song you've written, halfway through the sermon that you prepared, halfway through the drama that you got ready, halfway through the things that God has put on your heart, and you turn around and got discouraged. Verse 11 says, then our adversary said, they will neither know nor see anything till we come into their midst and kill them and cause the work to cease. So it was when the Jews dwelt near them, they came and they told us 10 times, for whatever place you turn, they will be upon us. 10 times. You know what? You got to understand and listen to what God, when he throws out numbers or words or times or places or names, he says 10 times they told him. 10 times they told him, we're going to come after you. See, when they told you the first time that they were coming after you, it was like, yeah, maybe you will, maybe you won't. And the second time, and by the third time, and the fourth time, and the fifth time, you begin to say, well, you know what, maybe this ain't going to happen. You know, when they turn you down 6 times or 7 times, or you put 8 applications in, or 9 applications, and no one call you back, by the 10th time, you get discouraged, and you get worried, and you say, man, how many times am I going to be rejected? But I would wait for that 11th time. Hold on till the 11th time. So it was when the Jews dwelt near them, they came and they told us 10 times, for whatever place you turn, they will be upon us. Therefore I positioned men behind the lower parts of the wall at the openings, and I set the people according to their families, with their swords, their spears, and their bows. Tonight, you know, Brother John gets up here and he says, this is my sister and this is my son. He said, I've set you according to your families. Amen. I was excited to see, you know, my kids up here doing the drama, and you may not notice which ones are my kids because they're so beautiful and they got lots of hair, and you know, they're thin. You know, and I don't know, you know, I don't know, I'm not complaining, amen, but, you know, but I said, according to your family, you know, Brother Alfonso gets up here, and his wife is singing, and his son's on the drum, and his other son's on the timbales, and God has set them according to their family. What is it that your family does that's so good that nobody other family can do? What is it that your family just come together and get things done? When your family come together in one mind, you begin to move mountains and move oceans and move waters and plant fields and have harvesting and encourage and do things, you know, at their families. And verse 14 says, and I looked and arose and said to the nobles and to the leaders and to the rest of the people, do not be afraid of them. Remember, the Lord is great and awesome, and fight for your daughters, for your wives, and for your houses. You know what? Daughters and sons and husbands and wives and children. Let me tell you something. Your family is dependent on you to make it. They ain't dependent on cousin, and they ain't dependent on the other one. They're dependent on you to make it. If you are here within the sound of my voice, your children, your children's children, your wife's mother, your mother-in-law, your daughter-in-law, your sister, your cousin, they are waiting. They're depending on you to make it. So you got to fight for your family. Don't just get up off your shoulders for yourself. Don't just do something for yourself. You got to do something for your family because your daughter's dependent on it. Your son's dependent on it. It says fight for other people other than yourself. We was walking in the house last night, and it was dark in the house, and my little son-in-law came around the corner and scared me. I almost picked up my wife and threw her. I mean, he scared me. But you know what? I thought it, but I said it out loud. You ever been like, did I say that out loud? And she's like, you probably would pick me up and throw me at him. I said, no. I hide behind her though and be like, It was dark. You got to fight for something more than just yourself. You get motivated, get positive, you get moving and say, if I got to do it for the next generation, or I got to do it for this generation, or I got to do it, because my grandpa, I got to do it because my grandma, they've invested, they put something in me, and they're dependent on me to make it. Amen. About doing something for somebody else. And it happened, verse 15, and it happened when our enemies heard that it was known to us that our God had brought their plot to nothing, that all of us returned to the wall and everyone to his work. And he had to remind them, and I want to remind you tonight, that the ploys of the enemy really amount to nothing. They really don't amount to that. They ain't got no substance in it. That's why the enemy so many times comes in and abuses you emotionally. Because it's in your emotions. It ain't nothing in my emotion. I can sit there and be sad, but inside I'm really happy. Or I could look like I'm really happy, but inside I'm really sad. Or I could look like I'm really angry, but really I'm not angry. I remember, my kids, they do silly things, and I'm supposed to be mad as a dad and be like, grr, why did you do that? But I'm like, that was so cute. And you're trying to be like, oh, I can't spank it, man. That was funny. You ever see the kids do something crazy? I'm going too far. I get too far on it. It's like, oh, bitch, hold on. And and it's like, oh, I should have spanked them or disciplined them. But anyway, the enemy come in and he messes with you emotionally, and your emotions get all tensed up and tied up. And next thing you know, you ain't sleeping right, you ain't eating right, you ain't moving right, you ain't working right, you ain't thinking right. All because, and you know what? It's nothing. It's like a roller coaster ride. You get all intense, and there's a ride over there at Elitch's, or I don't know what it is. They keep changing owners, but it's this circle, and it takes you up, and then you wait, and then it drops you, and it's got these bars that come around. And I remember I went on it. I said, I'm going to go on it. I ain't afraid of nothing. I'll take it. And it was right when that lady had lost her leg because of the thing in like Orlando or something. I said, this just intensifies the ride. I'm going to get on there. I may come on with 2 legs and walk off but one, but I'm going to get the shirt that says, I survived, whatever. And so I put the thing down and I got on, and all of a sudden my emotions go, this was a bad idea. You really need your leg. You got to have your leg. Hey, you ain't got no hair. Now you want to get rid of your leg, and you're really going to have it bad. So I grabbed onto the bar so hard that I bruised the inside of my arms. The next day I was like, where is that from? And I was like, oh, because I was hugging on like if that matters. Like if the harder I held on, the safer I was the safest rider on there because I held on tighter than anybody. It don't matter, man. That's nothing. If it's going to break, man, I don't care how hard you hang on, you breaking with it. But it's nothing. It don't matter. It is emotions. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. And every word that comes out of the enemy's mouth is a lie, because he's a liar. And all of us returned to work, to the wall, everyone. Verse 16 says, so it was from that time on that half of my servants worked on the construction, while the other half held the spears, the shields, the bows, and wore armor, and the leaders were behind the house of Judah. Those who built on the wall and those who carried burdens loaded themselves so that with one hand they worked at construction, and with the other they held a weapon. You got to have your hands full. You got to have your hands full. It says with one hand they did construction, and with the other hand they did a weapon. They held a weapon. Because that's the kind of people that God made us to be. That if I ain't fighting devils, I'm rebuilding walls. And if I ain't rebuilding walls, then I'm fighting devils. And if I ain't fighting devils, I'm rebuilding walls. And if I ain't rebuilding walls, I'm fighting devils. Because I got a brick in one hand and I got a sword in the other, and I'm ready for hell and high water. I'm ready for the attack. I'm ready for whatever the enemy has for me, because he's prepared me.